Good evening, and thank you for joining me for Teacher Talk Tuesday. This is your host, Dr. Yvonne Henderson. And today, what I'd like to discuss is teacher pay. I know we have a lot of organizations, a lot of jobs, a lot of professions who actually come through teachers. And those professions and those people make more money than teachers. I get it. They chose a different route, and we have to think about that. However, why is it that teachers are paid such low salaries when we do the most work? We prepare the most people for the world. There's teachers who are training doctors, who are teaching doctors, future lawyers, who are making quite a bit more money than we are as teachers, even years later. Prime example, I started teaching in 2001. As a first year teacher in Illinois, I made $45,000 a year as a first year teacher with a master's degree, mind you. However, here now, I'm in Texas with 20 years under my belt as a teacher. They've only given me credit for 17 years, and I'm only making 61,000. A first year teacher coming into the Texas school district can start out making 55,000 a year. First year. No experience, first year. 55,000. However, I have 17 years of experience and I'm only making 61,000. This is crazy. And people wonder why they can't keep teachers, why teachers are not being retained, because you don't want to pay your teachers. I remember when I started out, it was mandatory that all teachers took continuing education courses. Well, you have to pay for that. So if you're not making enough to continue your education, why would you continue to invest in something that's not going to pay off for you? Now, in Illinois, it wasn't a problem because we had a reimbursement system. If you took so many classes and you got credit that you passed that course and it was an accredited school, they would reimburse you for what you spent for the class. So therefore, it was beneficial. And as a result of that, the more education you received, the higher your pay. So you going back to school and getting a master's degree, if you had a bachelor's, increased your pay at the next step, the next level. If you received a master's plus 30, that increased your pay another step. You kept growing. Once you got your doctorate, of course, that was the highest paid level that you could get to. But you were compensated for going to school and getting those degrees. Now, I feel like I've been stifled because I've gone through all of that. I've made the money. When I left Illinois in 2013, I was making 65,000 a year. In 2013, I was making 65,000 a year. Here, 2020, I am in Texas and I'm only making 61,000 a year. Is something wrong with that picture, people? There is something drastically wrong with the educational system, and Houston is very adamant about letting everyone know that they are the seventh largest district in the country, in the nation. But you are proud of having the seventh largest district with the most students and the most teachers, but you're not paying them anything. We need to compensate our teachers for what they're doing. I looked up, and the research shows that the number one in the nation is set up in regions. In the Northeast, you have New York, who has the highest median pay, which is 81,000. Maine has the lowest at 52. That's in the Northeast. In the South, Maryland has the highest median, which is 63,000. Alabama is close to the lowest, it's 49,000. Texas is in the South, it's at 55. It's number 6. It's ranked number 6 for the median. In the Midwest, Illinois is number 1 for a median starting pay at 66,000. North Dakota is ninth at 47,000. In the West, Alaska has the highest median of 79,000. And New Mexico is number 9 with 52,000. And Colorado, where I came from, is number 10 at 50,000. Now, when I left Colorado in 2019, I was making 75,000 a year. 75,000 a year. That was just in last year. I moved to Texas in July. When I left Colorado, I was making $75,000 a year, and they were about to get a pay increase, so I would have been making much more had I stayed. But I'm here, and I had to take a pay cut because the teachers here do not make that much. Now, the cost of living here is a lot lower. That's true. But I still have expenses. I still have a child to take care of. I have bills. I would like to purchase a home. But looking at the rate and what I'm making, that might prove to be a little bit difficult. So I'm just looking at the pay and how it's so scattered around the globe. How are we compensating our teachers? How are we giving them incentives to make them want to stay in this profession? We're seeing people, I teach because I love to teach. I'm telling you, I tell people all the time, if I got into education for the money, I would have never gotten into it. However, it's just sad to think that right now I'm making less money than I was making in 2013 in Illinois. There's something wrong with the pay scale. Why is it, if there's funding coming in and schools are getting money and you're so proud of having the largest district, why are you not compensating your teachers? And here, teachers are not compensated based on their education. They're compensated based on the number of years that they've been teaching. So what are those years? What does that scale look like? How is that compensation regulated? Because it seems to me that there's some misconstrued figures going on when you have a first-year teacher with a bachelor's degree who can come out making $55,000 a year, and that's what they started paying me. I started out at $55,000 a year until I could give them my transcripts to prove that I had, or not my transcripts, but my years of experience and how long I had been teaching. I had to show proof of that. So even with a doctorate, I started in this district making $55,000 a year because they hadn't gotten my proof of employment and my years of experience. Once I got that, I moved up to $61,000. Well, my goodness. And I looked at it, and I am making $2,000 a month less than what I was making in Colorado. Why? Because the pay scale was based on your years of experience and your education. Here in Texas, they just do it based on your years of experience. Your education has nothing to do with it. So what's the point of going on and continuing your education and trying to better yourself if you're not going to get compensated for it? But yet we're supposed to do everything. I have to be a counselor. I have to be a behavior specialist. I have to do data. I have to do running records. I have to keep files. I have to make phone calls. I have to do everything, but yet you're not compensating me for what I have to do. And that's just not me. That's teachers, period. Teachers need to be compensated for what they do. Now we have this online school thing because of this COVID-19, and now everyone is going to remote schools, and you have teachers, you've thrown them into this position of now being an online instructor with no experience in it, but yet you want us to continue being productive the way we were in the classroom. But we're not being compensated any different. But yet we're supposed to continue to do the work. Actually, I feel like we're doing more work now trying to keep the remote school going. We're doing more work, uploading, keeping conference calls, and making office hours. We have a lot more on us than we had before. So, I guess next, share. Talk about it. Please leave some comments so we can see where we need to go and say what else someone else might have to say. But my time is almost up. Maybe we can continue this at a later time. If you need to, email me at teachertalktuesday with a 2 at gmail.com, and I will leave it in the comments so I can hear what you have to say. Get back to me. I'd love to hear from you. This has been your host, Dr. Yvonne Henderson, with Teacher Talk Tuesday.